While I was traveling around under Bhadesh, I noticed a very strong influence of Christianity. The Christians, they seem to have adopted this 5-pointed star as their symbol. I find that very interesting, because formerly the Christians, they would use the cross for their symbol. This cross is where they crucified Jesus. So all the time they're reminding themselves of Jesus dying for their sins. This is the idea. Jesus died for your sins, so that you can be saved. You don't have to do anything. You just believe in Jesus. Haribol. There you go. This is actually a very simple philosophy for simple-minded people. Anyway, they've adopted this star, which is very interesting because the biggest Christian church in America, they have their Sunday program at a football stadium. 30,000 people come for their service. Mataji, could I have some water, please?
Water.
30,000 people come. And what makes it so popular? They do not say anything about spiritual life. Just be good, be nice, be prosperous, enjoy life. And so this is their spiritual message now. This is, unfortunately, we can understand the level of degradation of Kali Yuga, that people have come so low that they cannot even discuss anything about spiritual life. In that church, they don't have any religious symbols. They have something like this star, something like this. So they have no understanding. What is spiritual life? Now, the very interesting thing for me was when I was observing, I was going from Calcutta to Mayapur. And along the way, we were passing so many signs. St. Xavier's School, St. Mary's School, St. Francis School. But I was noticing, where are the Vaishnava schools? Where are the Hindu schools? I didn't see any. I didn't see any at all. Are there any? A few. One or two. Only. And how many schools do the Christians have? So this, all of a sudden it hit me like a hammer in the head. Boom! And I went, oh, look what's happened. The Christians have come here to India. They've taken all of your children. They've trained them in a culture which is opposite of your culture. And the Hindus have done nothing. Nothing. Why? Why? I don't understand this. They've conquered your country. They've culturally conquered your country because you have done nothing. Prabhupada, you can understand, is the only one who is preaching Krishna consciousness, who is actually preaching to people to try them help them to understand what is Dharma, what is Bhagavad Dharma. And nobody else in this country, anybody else is preaching? 8 years ago, in America, I went to one program. It was all the heads of the Hindu churches, the Hindu temples in America. They came together, they had one conference. Too loud? Good technology. They had one conference in New Jersey. All the heads of the Hindu churches in America, Hindu temples. They came together because they had a problem that they saw that they've built so many nice temples in America. You go. How many of you have been to America? Anybody? No? If you go, when you go, you will travel around, you can see so many nice Hindu temples. Of course, ISKCON was first. We're building first many temples, but in time, over the last 40, 50 years, there's now more than 2-3 million Indian people of Indian origin in America. So they've come, they've built their own temples. Very nice. But the problem is, they find that their children who grow up in America, they don't come to the temple when they become adults. The children grow up and they stop coming to temple. And so they have this conference to discuss with each other, what will we do? We build all these temples for what? Because our children don't come. What will happen? So at that conference I suggested to them, why don't you preach and teach Hinduism to the American people? And they looked at me like I was from Mars. Like this is such a foreign idea, that how is it possible you can go preach to the Malechas? I'm a Malecha. Me? Yeah, I'm from Malecha background. I come from very sinful background. And I've taken up Bhagavad Dharma, Krishna consciousness. So it's not impossible. So many, this whole Hare Krishna movement started in America. Prabhupada made so many Krishna bhaktas. Took Krishna consciousness all over the world. And still, the American devotees are still leading this Hare Krishna movement. So it's not impossible. But the Hindus, some reason or other, they don't want to do this. I don't understand. About 1 month ago, I was at one printer in Vijayawada, talking to him about printing my book. And on his desk, there was some book by Pentecostal. One Christian group called Pentecostal. And I picked it up. I was looking through this book. And it was very interesting to me. I was seeing this is what they're teaching to people who take up Christianity with them. And what were they teaching them? What we call sub-religious principles. Be nice to each other. Take care of each other. Be honest. Don't steal. Help each other out. So these are sub-religious principles. But, you know what? I saw that this is actually what India needs. Because I will tell you frankly, my experience here in India is that you do not treat each other very nicely. Honestly, for the Indian people that I know personally, they take care of me nicer, better than my own father and mother. They're so wonderful. It's hard for me to even imagine how they can be so warm and so friendly. But at the same time, I see that they don't treat each other very nicely. If they know you, they will treat you so wonderful. And if they don't know you, go away. Get out of my way. Move. So, this is... seeing this, I can understand why some of the Indian people are attracted to Christianity. Because it teaches them how to be nice to each other, how to take care of each other, how to do right thing, to be honest. These are things India needs. Anyway, I'm also from a Christian background. My parents, they're Catholic. They raised me as Catholic. When I was a child, I was a boy. I would go on the altar. They call altar boys. So you assist the priest. And so, but this Christianity never made much sense to me. I couldn't understand their philosophy. They don't have philosophy, actually. Their philosophy is, you believe in Jesus, you do any damn thing you want, and you go to heaven. If you don't believe in Jesus, you can be such a good person, but you will go to hell. I thought, something is wrong with this. This is not my idea. What is God? What kind of God is that? So when I became a young man, I rejected all religion. I thought I would look around and find something. So I looked around at different things, and whatever I looked at, there was a problem that I still had questions that were not answered. I was asking, like every person, existential questions. Who am I? What's the purpose of life? How does this world work? You try, especially as a young person, you try to make sense about this world. So none of these philosophies were very satisfactory to me until I read Bhagavad Gita. When I read Bhagavad Gita, I was convinced, yes, this is it. This is the truth. And from that time on, for 7 years, I only read Srila Prabhupada's books. So, tonight I want to tell you a little bit about Christianity. The Christians are coming here. They're taking over because people here, they don't understand any philosophy, it seems. Otherwise, how can you take up Christianity? I don't think it's possible. But the Christians, they have some method, they have some tricks that they use. But if we know what Christianity is, then things will change. Is this mine or yours?
That is not useful. You can take it.
I give you. You are taking it?
No, I haven't taken it.
I can use?
Yeah.
So, who started Christianity? Anybody who can guess? Anybody know? Christ? Maybe? Maybe not. I want to tell you about one spiritual group. The spiritual group, they follow four regulative principles just like us. No eating meat, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. They don't associate with non-devotees, people who don't believe like they believe. They take bath early in the morning when they get up. They wash before they eat, after they eat. They take bath after passing stool. They're very clean. They have their worship. They worship masculine and feminine deity. Both male and female, not just male deity, masculine and feminine deity. They have a conception of what we call a Chintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, a simultaneously one with but different from God. What else? Some of them were Naistika Brahmacharis. They had also a conception of a parampara, that their teachings were coming down from the spiritual succession. They revered their scriptures, and they were very careful to transmit them exactly as they were without changing anything. They understood that that spiritual knowledge was revealed knowledge, that you couldn't get it just by reading a book, that only if you were qualified this knowledge would be revealed to you. What else? They wore tilak. They wore a line in the middle of the forehead, like Sri Vaishnavas. What else? I think that's most of the things. And they had a leader, and his name was Jesus. Yeah. This was actually the Jesus and his followers. They were Vaishnavas. There's a Roman historian by the name of Josephus. His works are still extant, still existing. And Josephus was the official historian of the Roman Empire at that time, 2,000 years ago. And one person that's recorded in Josephus' works, he's asked a question, what is a Jew? And he said, oh, a Jew, this is actually something very wonderful. But so that you should understand properly something, you have to know what its origin is. So he said the Jews, they come from the Indian philosophers. He also says that the Garden of Eden, if any of you are familiar with Christianity at all, you know, Christianity, they say that when God created this world, that there was a Garden of Eden, a place of paradise here on earth. And it was not too hot, not too cold, everything was very wonderful there. And Josephus, he speaks about this Garden of Eden, and he actually tells where it was, where it is. He said it extends from the Nile River in Egypt on one side, all the way to the Ganga on the other side. So this is Bharatvarsha. So this Garden of Eden was Bharatvarsha. Why? Because in Bharatvarsha they were following religious principles. So how is it that we have such a different understanding of what is a Jew, what is a Christian today? If the followers of Jesus, and Jesus, if they were Vaishnavas, and Vaishnavas like us, almost identical to us, then what happened? Why does Christianity appear to be so different today? What happened to it? The Romans, at that time, they were conquering the whole known world, right? I mean, this is the Roman Empire. They would go and they would make war on some people, conquer them, and then add them to the empire. And so they had a very large empire. And of course, because most people, they didn't want to be part of the Roman Empire, they always had to keep things in line, right? And the same thing for Judea. Oh yeah, back to the reason why these people are called Jews. Because they're from this place called Judea. Therefore they're called Jews. That's all. But actually they're Vaishnavas. So, in Judea, there was a lot of followers of Jesus. There were many, many, many. And they were not very happy to be under the thumb of the Roman Empire. They didn't like them, first of all, because they were malechas. They were, actually they were rakshasas. They were demons, demonic. And so they wanted to be free of them. So there was different factions among this group of Vaishnavas, very large group. So some of them were militaristic, others were less so. But the ones that were militaristic, they wanted to overthrow the Romans. And so they wanted to actually try to make war on them and try to overthrow them. And the Romans, they were doing their best to keep everybody in line. So there was one Roman agent. His name was Saul. And he was given the privilege, you say, or the authorization to kill the devotees. He would hunt them down and he would kill them. Like this. And so he was doing that for some time. And then one day he had a change of tactics. He was riding on his horse, and then he said he saw a flash of light, and in the sky he saw Jesus. Jesus had been killed some years before on the cross, but he said, I saw the risen Jesus, and there he was, and he's telling me, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Like this. So then he understood, oh, Jesus is actually God, and I've been very offensive, so I better change my ways. So he went to the followers of Jesus, and he told them, I've seen the risen Jesus, and I want to change my heart. I want to become one of you. And so, because he was known to be a killer of the devotees, some of them were very cautious. They said, no, we don't trust this guy. We can't let him inside. Huh? Anyway, somehow or other, they decided to allow him to come inside. Maybe they figured better to have an enemy inside the camp than outside the camp. Huh? Like this. So there was 3-year training period. And in 3 years, this Saul, he was baptized and he took the name Paul. Okay, maybe some of you heard of so-called Saint Paul, or the Apostle Paul. But he's not an apostle. He never met Jesus. He can't be counted as an apostle. This is just propaganda. Anyway, so after he was trained for 3 years, then Paul went out to preach. But he was preaching something entirely bogus, completely wrong from what they were teaching him. So they bring him back, say, what are you doing? Well, they try to straighten him out. Don't do this anymore. You understand the philosophy is blah, 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 like this. Okay. Again, he goes out and he's saying something entirely wrong. Oh, this guy's such a headache. What to do? They bring him back, and some of them said, kill him. And others said, no, just send him away. So they sent him to Greece. Okay? And from Greece is the place where we first hear the word Christianity. So Paul, who never met Jesus, who was killing the followers of Jesus, he goes to Greece and he invents a new religion called Christianity. And scholars know this. Modern scholars, they understand this. Generally they refer to Christianity as Pauline Christianity, because it's invented by Paul. If you look in the New Testament, there's much more about Paul than there is about Jesus. Huh? Jesus, he can hardly get a word in edgewise. It's all Paul. Huh? Anyway, the followers of Jesus, they hear about this, they bring him back again, and some of them say, this time we're definitely going to kill him. But what happens is, right in the nick of time, Paul is saved by the Roman soldiers. Well, this is a very strange thing, because the Romans generally did not interfere with the activities of the religious groups, of the Jews or anybody else. So why they're coming, this is a internecine, or a quarrel amongst the Jews. Why is the Roman army interfering? Well, because Paul is an agent of the Romans, of the Roman Empire. Paul was actually sent by the Romans to go inside to infiltrate the Vaishnava camp and to try to destroy it from within. And he wasn't very successful, so they take him out of there before he gets killed. He goes back to Rome, and then we don't hear very much from him ever again. But for some strange reason, Rome, which is the empire, the headquarters of the demonic Rakshasa rulers of the world, that's Rome. But this is where the Gospels of Christianity come from Rome. Now, how is that? Why? Right? From the headquarters of the enemy should come the doctrine of the Christians. Huh? Doesn't make sense, does it? Unless you understand that the Romans it was their decision to create Christianity, to try to destroy the advent of the eternal religion in the West. Okay? We accept the Bhagavad philosophy as the eternal religion. And it manifests there in the West, in Judea, 2,000 years ago. And the Rakshasa Romans, seeing that, they became very eager to try to destroy it as soon as it makes its appearance. Right? Maybe some of you have read Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He wrote one article called Putana. Have you read? In this article, he's explaining how Kamsa and Putana, how they are immediately trying to suppress any advent of the eternal religion. As soon as it makes its appearance, immediately smash it. Huh? Because the Rakshasas, in Kali Yuga, this earth is given to the Rakshasas. It's their place. Huh? It's their place. They want to control it. And they don't want any other God than themselves. They want to be God. Huh? So if somebody comes around saying Krishna is God or Vishnu is God or something like that, no, we can't have that. So they want to destroy it. And in this article, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he writes that the best place for... Prabhu, Hare Krishna, please go outside. This is called phone manners. When your phone rings, you turn it off, then you go outside and you call that person back. You don't talk on the phone as being respectful of other people. Where were we?
Bhaktisiddhanta writes in his written an article.
So he said, the best place for evil to be successful in this damned age of Kali is in the convenient disguise of religion. So, Kali, he goes inside the religion. And he does all his terrible work in the name of religion. And then people say, if that is religion, give me the devil. Huh? The people who are supposed to be God's people, they're doing so many terrible things. Then, I want no part of that. So this way they destroy the faith of people in Kali Yuga. And if you follow the history, if you know any of the history of the Roman Church, these popes, they are so despicable, so terrible, demoniac personalities you can't imagine. But now, in this time, they hide themselves. They don't show themselves externally as being nasty, being whatever they are. They show themselves externally as being very nice. And then this way they try to attract people and then mislead them to the wrong path. So this is how Kali is acting now. So a person has to be very intelligent to understand what is the principle of religion and how to then follow that principle of religion. If we do not understand by ourselves, that is going to be very difficult because many of the so-called leaders of religion, they are agents of Kali. Kali Chela. So, in any case, so the Christians, if you talk to any Christian, most of them, actually none of them, they won't know this history. This history I've explained to you. Because people take the history, what's ever given in the Bible. And as you know, when they say about history is that the winners of wars, they write the history. They want the history to be what they say. So the Romans, they wrote the history about this period. And you don't hear any conflicting stories from that time. So, so the Christians, they're not aware of any of this. This information was actually kept secret until just 60 years ago. In 1948, there was one shepherd boy in Egypt. He was with his flock of sheep, and he found some jars that were buried in the sand. And in these jars, there was some rolls of paper with some writing on them. So he told the parents, and they came and they took these to some university, and these are called now the Nag Hammadi text. Nag Hammadi is the village where they were found. So these Nag Hammadi texts are actually from first century Palestine, from Jesus and his contemporaries. They wrote those scrolls. So there is now first-hand information about what Jesus was like, what he was doing, what they thought, what they believed. So those scrolls, they were kind of kept suppressed for some time. Just another year later, in one place nearby in Judea called the Dead Sea. Maybe you know where the Dead Sea is over there. Huh? So near the Dead Sea there's some caves. And in these caves, some other boys, they found another bunch of jars. And in these jars there were some more paper scrolls and some more information on them. So these are called the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay? The Dead Sea Scrolls, they were taken to, the University of Jerusalem, something like this. And they were kept under lock and key for 40 years. Yes, we're studying them, we'll let you know. They wouldn't release them. All the scholars were protesting. Let us see this material. It's very important for us to understand the history of this time. But they wouldn't give that material out. Finally, there was one religious historian by the name of Robert Eisenman. He's a professor at the University of California in Long Beach, California. He was very instrumental in getting these Dead Sea Scrolls released. And what they found was that the information on these Dead Sea Scrolls completely contradict the official version of Christianity. So no wonder they didn't want the Dead Sea Scrolls to be revealed, because it showed that they were all been lying for the last 2,000 years. But still, they wanted to keep the lie going. So they had a bunch of academics write books saying, oh no, the Dead Sea Scrolls are, they're like this, they're like that, we can't understand them, we have to interpret it like this, it should be like that, blah, 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 and they give all their academic ideas about these things. So they're still trying to keep people in darkness and confusion. But those Dead Sea Scrolls, there was a couple scholars, this Robert Eisenman, and one other German historian, Hans-Joachim Schops. So this information I'm telling you is from one book that I've written, but I have not published yet, explaining the advent of the eternal religion, both in the first century and in the 20th century, and comparing them. What happened? So these two scholars, they were my source material. They're explaining very clearly that the so-called Christians, they were actually Vaishnavas. Jesus and his followers, they were Vaishnavas. And that this whole idea of Christianity is just created to confuse people and mislead people so that they will not learn about and benefit from understanding the eternal religion. So, what do we do with this? On one hand, it's very sad to see that India, practically speaking, has lost her culture to this cultural invasion of the Christians. On another hand, it's kind of a good thing. Let me explain. We see, there's three gunas, three modes of material nature. Everybody understands this? Gunas? So goodness, passion, and ignorance. And things are created in passion, destroyed by tamagun, maintained by sattvagun. And in Kali Yuga we see sattva is going down, 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 tamagun going up, up, up. So it's no surprise. There's no sattva to maintain the traditions, so naturally they're being lost. Because we're not understanding, nor are we following the religious principles. So, on one hand, we can see the influence of tamagun, that this tamagun is destroying the cultures not only of India, but the whole world. The whole world, this modern, materialistic American culture, is going everywhere and destroying the original cultures. How are they doing that? Now, all of you know. Is there anybody that does not have a television in their house? Okay.
There's one person.
But the rest of you have become victimized by cultural invasion called television. Yes, your culture is being destroyed because you watch this box. You see? I'm coming here, I'm sitting here in the clothes of your culture, and you're wearing the clothes of my culture. Because you're watching television. You understand? You see how they've captured you. You feel so at home in that culture, you've taken on their dress, their way of thinking, and everything else. And so naturally, it's impossible for you to defend yourselves against the Christian invasion. Because you've surrendered yourself to this culture of television. Not just India, the whole world. One time I was president in Vancouver, Canada. And there I met one lady, Eskimo. They say from the far north in Canada. They call them Eskimos. There are many indigenous people that live up there where it's snowy most of the year. And I was talking to this lady and she was explaining to me that we had before a very nice culture. That everything, we were living in harmony and peace and we were helping each other. We were always happy. But then television came. And it destroyed us. Because we sat there, we all watched this television. We stopped talking to each other. We stopped following our own cultural practices. Because we were simply watching television, we forgot everything else. And then the young people, they wanted what they saw in this box. So when they became of age, immediately they left. They went to the cities so they could get some money and enjoy, have all those things they saw. And same thing is happening here in India. I've gone to now probably 8-10 villages here in India. The young people, they don't want to stay there. Because they're all conquered by this cultural conquest, television. And they want to go to the city. They want to get money. They have nice enjoyment, they think. 300 families every day are moving to Mumbai. 300 every day. And where do most of them wind up? They go there, they think, I will get a job, I will have money, I will be successful, we'll enjoy. But most of them wind up in the slum. Just across from Prabhu's house. I mean, if you go to his house, you see, right across the street, some people are living underneath plastic tarp. Some plastic sheet. This is their house. So these people that go to Mumbai, they're leaving their village, They're thinking they will be happy in the city and they live in some plastic or tin shed. Very, very unfortunate. Why is that? Because the leaders, the Dvijas, whoever's Dvija, they're not doing their duty. Their duty is to take care of the praja. And they're neglecting them. They're going and making money. Because they're intelligent, they don't have any problem. They don't go to slums. And then the praja, the simple people, they don't know what to do. Oh, whatever Krishna says, whatever a great man does, common men follow. Oh, he's gone to the city, he's become successful. I'll go to the city, I'll become successful. So this is what's going on. All over the world. Why is this going on? Because this world is being run by Rakshasas. This is not some fairy tale from Mahabharata from a long time ago. This is reality today. There are people, so-called people, they look like people, but they are very fond of eating human flesh. They drink human blood, and they're controlling you. And you don't even understand it. How are they controlling you? How are they controlling you? Everybody thinks I'm free. I can go here, I can go there, I can do this, I can do that. I'm free. No, you're not. You're not free. Because you cannot live without them. They're controlling you at every step. Right? You understand? Who makes this? You make this money? Huh? You go down to the Photoshop, color Xerox, you print some?
No.
It says, Reserve Bank of India. Who owns the Reserve Bank of India? The government. How do you know? Are you speculating or you know this for sure? Speculating, yeah. Who owns the Reserve Bank of India? Anybody know? Because they're controlling you. You have to get this paper in order to survive. This is how they're controlling you. And you don't even know who it is. So if there's an economic problem, who do you complain to? The government. There is no the government. There's only people. I'll tell you in America who owns. We also have a central bank. It's called Federal Reserve Bank. It's owned by about 40 families. Private. It's a private bank. And they have the privilege to loan money to the government of the United States. And every year the United States government is paying them more than $300 billion in interest for money that they create out of thin air. They are doing this not just in America, but in every country of the entire world, with the exception of Syria, Iran, North Korea. Can you connect the dots here? These are the countries that America wants to make war on, right? The axis of evil. Why are they the axis of evil? Because the Rakshasas have not conquered them yet. So they're controlling the whole world. They're controlling you. Why? Because you do not any longer follow Bhagavad culture. That's why. If you understood the Bhagavad culture, you would not be controlled by them. So Srila Prabhupada, he is social revolutionary. He is trying to teach everyone how to understand what is Bhagavad culture. Bhagavad culture means we are here to serve Bhagavan, Krishna. We are his servant, not servant of some Rakshasa. But the Rakshasas have taken control, and so now we have all become servant of Rakshasa. Every time you use this paper, you give money to them. This is like doing puja to them. Every time you spend money, you will think, oh, I'll get a lot of money, I'll be big man. No, you get a lot of money and you'll be doing more puja to the Rakshasas. It's true. Yes. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that those who are in passion, they worship the demigods. No, those in goodness, they worship anyway, somebody, passion and goodness. They're worshipping the demigods. Usually we're thinking demigod, like Surya, like Ganesh, Indra, like this. No, little demigods. The ones that own the central bank. These are also little gods, demigods. And we're all worshipping them because we follow their rules. They tell us how to live in this world, and we live what they tell us to do. We didn't create this way of life. No, they created this way of life. Consumer way of life. They created it. In my book I'm explaining how they created it and why. So why? So they can exploit you and you will not even understand. They are very intelligent. Very, very smart. So Prabhupada came to teach what is Bhagavad culture. What is Bhagavan? Who is Bhagavan? That our duty is to worship Bhagavan. To give our service to Him. Bhagavan, He created a way to live in this world in which we can be independent. And in our independence, we can serve Him, develop relationship with Him, so that at the time of death, we go to Him. This we are supposed to be doing. Prabhupada established the Krishna consciousness movement for this purpose. But our devotees still are not understanding. So Krishna says, for example, Bhagavad Gita, Kamanya varikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. Who knows this sloka? Okay. What's the translation?
I mean,
You have right to perform your duty.
But
You know,
You
like
have
the
to-
fruits of.
you're not entitled to the fruits of action. No.
you have to
Okay.
follow the God.
So, how many have a job or a business? Come on.
Yeah,
Okay, and what are you working for?
I'm working for Nuclear Sphere Complex
No. Why do you go to work?
to get money.
Yeah, to get money. Otherwise called the fruits of action. Now Krishna says there in that shloka, you're not entitled to the fruits of action.
Yeah.
There's a problem here, isn't there? Right? You see? This is Bhagavad Dharma. You're not entitled to that fruits. Why? Because this creates karma for you. You are forced to come back, take birth again. So Krishna says, don't do that. Don't work for the fruits. The fruits are meant for who? For Bhagavan. So He's given us a way to live independently so that we can do everything for Bhagavan. But we're not doing that. We're not. What is that way of life? Village life. Living in the village with cow. You cannot have Bhagavad culture without cow protection. Impossible. So I know one family here who's keeping cow. Who else is keeping cows? Okay. And so how can you have Bhagavad culture you don't have cows? You see? It's all lost. We're thinking we can stay in this city and I'll chant some japa, I'll do some puja, I'll read Bhagavatam, and I'll go back to Godhead. Well, I'm in Krishna consciousness movement almost 40 years. And in 40 years, I'm looking to see who is successful with this formula. Living in the city, keeping job, doing a little puja and japa? How many of you think? Practically nobody. Practically nobody. So it's our illusion to think that we can ignore Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita and we're going to become somehow Krishna conscious. This is our illusion. Rather, we have to understand Krishna has given this Bhagavad Gita to us so that we can do what he says. That's a revolutionary idea, isn't it? Do what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Don't do fruitive activity. What else does Krishna say? Live in a solitary place. 3 times he says, live in a solitary place. Secunderbad is not a solitary place. Hyderabad, not a solitary place. Rupa Goswami, our Acharya, he tells us not to associate with materialistic people. And how do you do that if you have a job? How do you not do that if you have a job? If you have a job, you have a business, you must mix with materialistic people. So you see, our Acharyas, they've explained to us how to go back to Godhead. They've gone there. They show the path. This is how to go. Do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. And you can achieve the result. Guaranteed. But we're not following. We're not following them. We're conditioned by our material life. We're conditioned by living in this world. Maybe all of you have grown up in city. I grew up in city also. So some of you men you're my age. You grew up in city also, or did you grow up in village? City. So we're conditioned by city life. So we don't even see it. This is the nature of culture. We don't see culture. It's just the way the world is. It happens like that. We don't even think about it. But Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling us to change the way we are thinking. Natveva tam nachunasam natvam nime chanadi pahai. Never was there a time when that did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings. This means we're not the body. We have to change the way we're thinking. I'm eternal soul, I'm not the body. Okay. Krishna is telling us to think differently. So we have to understand all of these points, and then we have to follow what Krishna says. Prabhupada spoke on and on and on about this, about living in this village culture. He wanted ISKCON to establish these village communities so that when you practice Krishna consciousness, and the result, you get the result of practicing Krishna consciousness, which is vairagya, detachment. You chant, you follow the principles, and then pretty soon you don't want this job, you don't want this world, you want to have something else, you want Krishna consciousness. But what choice do you have? You don't have a choice. Because we have not yet created this village alternative. So, how's it going to happen? You, all of you, especially older men who understand these points, you show the way. That we must go live in the village, create there the Bhagavad culture, live simple life, and have nice life of Krishna consciousness. This is the plan. Nothing else is going to work. It's not going to work for you, and it's not going to work for anybody else. It won't work. Krishna consciousness is meant to create a revolution, to change this world, because it's a materialistic world. This is not spiritual world, it's materialistic. Krishna consciousness means you lift your consciousness up, and now you can no longer do the same thing that you did before. And if you try, you will put a lid on your consciousness and keep yourself down. Only go so far. So, we have to understand these points very clearly. Prabhupada spoke about these in some detail. Mainly he spoke about these things to his leaders in morning walk conversations and in his room conversations. He didn't put it in his books. And unless you read his conversations, you will not understand his instructions for what he wanted for his society. Prabhupada wanted to change the way the world works. He wanted to give shelter to all the fallen conditioned souls. People are suffering in this world. And if we actually become Vaishnava, then we also become concerned that these people are suffering. Not that simply, I'm okay, I have enough money, there's no problem. There's a problem. You go on any street here, you'll see problems. So many problems. Why? Because people have forgotten how to live. They're following an artificial way of life, which is simply making them suffer more and more. America is leading the way. Everybody wants to imitate America. Why? We watch television. We want the things that are on television. But we get automobile, or we get flat screen television, or stereo system, or, all electronic this, electronic that. These things will not make anybody happy. They give some pleasure in Rajagun. But the nature of that pleasure is that it lasts only a little bit, a short time. Then after 1 week, 2 weeks, there's no pleasure there anymore. Again, you have to go shopping. Right? So you drive down the street, you're looking while you're driving or going on the bus, you see in the shops, this, that, and then contemplating the objects of the senses. I want this, I want that, I want this. Without thinking, this thing I bought 2 weeks ago is not making me happy. Now I need something else. And in 2 weeks again, that thing will not make me happy. And again, I want something else. And it never stops. So, America is leading the way in this Rajagun happiness. But tell me, what's the result of Rajagun? How many know? You're reading Bhagavad Gita, what's the result of Rajagun? Means?
Remain in the middle.
No.
Cycle.
The result. What's the result? Means?
Continue to live in the Rajagun.
Suffering. The result of Rajagun is suffering. Not happiness. Means suffering. So America is leading the way, and in America now, 25% of the people, they must take some drug every day. Not alcohol, that's also there. Or marijuana, that's also there, but they're taking psychotropic drugs simply to be able to function day to day. They are suffering so much that they can no longer go day to day without some drug. Even the children. The children they must give drugs to, otherwise in school they cannot sit still. So this is the result of Rajagun. What else do we have in America? 50% divorce rate, more. Right? And what else do we have now? Now we have homelessness. We have economic problems. We have 1.5 million children living on the street. Just like you have so many children here living on the street. Americans are starting to live like this. It won't be long before when you go to America, you will see India. It's coming. The demons are doing this on purpose. They're trying to destroy this society. They are so envious. They don't want you to be happy. They don't want you to be happy. So they're creating deliberately economic problems so that people don't have enough simply to live. And what's even worse is we go along with it. They created a game called Money. And here's the rules. I'm the banker. I win and you lose. Okay? Good game, huh? And so we all play this game called Money, and after a while, guess what? I win and you lose. And I say, oh, I'm sorry, it's a depression. Too bad. We'll work on it, we'll fix it, we'll get it all together again. Let's keep playing the game. And you say, okay. So we play the game some more, and it just seems like it's starting to work. You're getting a little happy, you're getting some sense gratification, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's a recession. I'm sorry. I win, you lose. Oh, we'll fix it, don't worry. We'll fix it, we're working on it. Okay? And you say, okay, and you continue to play the game. And we go another 30, 40, 50 years, and again it's another depression. Oh, I'm sorry. I win and you lose. And we continue to play. Why? Why do we do that? Huh? Not thinking, not using the brain. I'll tell you what economic development is. You go to any village here, they have real economic development. You plant one seed of rice, how many do you get back?
2,000 times.
You get back about 50 or 60. This is 5,000% rate of return. Huh? How much are they giving you in the bank? 5,000? 4,000?
4%.
10? 12? Huh? You see how generous Krishna is? 5,000%. If you plant wheat, you also get 5,000. You plant corn, 100,000% rate of return. You see, Krishna is so generous. This is economic development. But we give that up, and we go in the city and we're happy. Oh, I got 10%. You see? So, I win, you lose. Wake up. Don't play this game. You don't win. You cannot win. They want to destroy you. They want to exploit you. It's Kali Yuga. It's Tamagun. Tamagun means exploitation. They're going to squeeze you like a rag. Every drop of blood they'll squeeze out of you and then throw you away. And you'll see this happening all around the world today. And the good men, what are we doing? We have to do something. The Vaishnavas are the good men? Then you better do something to change the way this world works. Follow the principles of Bhagavad Dharma. Don't continue going the same way year after year because I'm okay, I got enough money. Oh, that's their problem. No, it's your problem. It's our problem. Why is it okay for us to live in a culture where, how many is it? 10 million children a year die from starvation. What is it? I forget the statistics. 30,000 every day. 30,000 children every day dying from malnutrition and so on. All these things, bad water, as a result of poverty. Not having proper conditions of life. Why is it okay? Why do we accept to live in a world that functions in this way? Where we win and somebody else loses. Oh, too bad, sorry. Not my problem. Right? Is that what Krishna says? Krishna doesn't say that. Everybody, they have their place. According to your ability, you have your dharma, you have your duty. And if you're a dvija, if you're a higher class man, your duty is to protect the praja, including the cow and the bull. So men, particularly the men, this is what you have to do. You have to save this world. You have to change this world. It's not all right to simply continue to live your own selfish life day after day without being concerned with everybody else. Because if you don't do it, there's no hope for this world. None at all. The other people, the Christians, they don't have any philosophy. They don't know what to do. The atheistic people, they don't know what to do. The degraded, sinful people, they don't know what to do. Who knows what to do? Only the Vaishnavas know what to do. So therefore we must do. We must. That's why Prabhupada started this movement. So, you change. You start from today. You make a plan how you are going to make things different here in this corner of this world. You figure out how you're going to make some little difference. Doesn't have to be big, some start. And then you make a plan to make it grow, to change. And you must include the cow and the bull. Then we will begin to see this world change for the better. So please, I'm begging you to understand this Bhagavad Gita. You understand this philosophy, what Prabhupada's intention is. We're followers of Prabhupada. He is giving us all instruction that we need. All we have to do is do what he tells us to do. One little step at a time. We don't have to conquer the world, just our little corner of the world. We have a little corner of the world here. So we change this corner. I'll give you an example. In my spiritual economics, actually the next volume, I'm writing about the economics of Bhagavad Gita. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling us how to do economics. Part of it is this karmani varikaraste. You're not entitled to the fruits of action. Well, if you're not entitled to it, then what do you do with it? Yatna tat karmano nyatra lokayam karma bandhanaha. Work must be performed as a sacrifice for Vishnu. So we do our work for the pleasure of Krishna. Whatever we do, we offer to Krishna for his satisfaction. Then it becomes prasadam. Now, we know what to do with prasadam, right? We distribute prasadam. Now, we're not selling prasadam. Should not be selling prasadam. You distribute prasadam. So, Prabhupada wrote one paper in 1956 in Bhakti Godhead magazine called Conceptions of Gita Nagari. And there he explained the village of Gita Nagari, the place where they live according to Bhagavad Gita, that everything is done on the account of Shri Parthasarathi. And the inhabitants of Gita Nagari, they are taking their maintenance from Parthasarathi, what they require to live, not much. And then they're giving all their seva, their service to Parthasarathi. So this describes what is called a gift economy. In other words, economy that works on the basis of giving. I just give to you, you give to me. Whatever I have, I give. Whatever you have, you give. Can I have some water? So the whole world can work like that. In fact, in the past, the world did work like that. There was no money. About 2,500 years ago, there was no money. They were using barter, but even more than that, there was generally a gift economy, where people would just give to each other. They would share. They would do their duty, they would give to each other what they required, and then they would take what they needed. So in America, there's some nice people. They decided that they wanted to encourage this gift economy. So they started a restaurant called the Karma Cafe. And the Karma Cafe is a very nice restaurant. You go and sit down, and somebody comes, they take your order. Very nice vegetarian food. The waiter comes, he brings you back your food. Nice, very delicious. Dessert, whatever you want. And then he brings you the bill. And the bill says you owe $0.00. Your meal has been paid for by somebody that came before you. And if you want, you can leave some money for the people who come after you. It's up to you. They give you an envelope, you put whatever you want in the envelope. Nobody's looking, nobody's checking, it's just up to you. You want to take? Go ahead. You want to give? Go ahead. This restaurant's been working for more than 5 years. If you want to volunteer there to help, you have to sign up 2 months in advance because people think it's a wonderful thing to do just to give to others. So they're very eager to give. There's about, the last time I checked was probably a year and a half ago. At that time there was about 24 such restaurants going on all over the world. There was one here in India. I can't remember what city. But they were having a difficult time. Not enough people were giving. Anyway, that's one idea. Now, in ISKCON, Krishna consciousness, we already do that. We have our Sunday feast, and generally we're not charging for Sunday feast. People are giving. So we can make this a way of life. But we have to create the consciousness. We have to create the awareness for it. How are we going to live in this world? Why? How are we going to live and why? We should live according to a particular philosophy of life. The Bhagavad philosophy. Our Bhagavad philosophy is the Ishavasham principle. Everything belongs to Krishna. Nothing belongs to me. Nirmama. And everything I do should be done as an act of devotional service. So this is the principle. Now, spiritual economics means, how do we do this? I was in one class, in one temple. The devotees were talking about this karmanya varikaraste. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of action. And one of my godbrothers, he said, I don't think we can follow that principle today. What do you think? Bhagavad Gita is an anachronism. It's only meant for a particular time and place? No. What we have to do is find out what are the conditions required that we have to create so that we can follow that principle. That's the principle. It's an eternal principle. Now, how do we live according to that principle? That we have to understand. We can do that when we practice natural economics of agriculture. But if you try to do it in the city, very difficult. Impossible. In the city it's impossible. So, we have to use our intelligence. Understand this philosophy. Apply ourselves. See what are the circumstances that we have to create in order to make this philosophy a living reality. I'll give you another example. How many of you have heard of Auroville? Auroville. Down in near Chennai. What's it called? What's the name? Pondicherry, yes. Well, Pondicherry. So there's a city started by, I'm not even sure whose? Aurobindo, yeah. So they have a philosophy. And down there, they're trying to basically live according to their philosophy. And some of our devotees from Mayapur, they went down there to have a visit not too long ago. Maybe you read on dandavats.com. They were explaining about their visit. So Samba he was explaining that when they went there, he was asking them, how do you apply your philosophy? He said, what if somebody here, they have some land here, and then after a while they decided that they wanted to leave, and they were going to sell that land for more money than they paid for it. Would that be okay? And they said, no, that would be against our principles. Huh? So he asked some other people the same question. Would that be okay to make some profit from here? Oh, no, that would be against our principles. And he asked another person the same answer. So he could see that these people, they actually are living their philosophy. Huh? It would be a nice thing if we understood our philosophy and lived our philosophy. When we live our philosophy, this movement will become the most powerful force in the world. But as long as we continue to live according to the ways of the dominant atheistic, materialistic culture, simply concerned with I and mine, this Krishna consciousness will be insignificant. So please understand these things. We can save the world. We have to understand our philosophy. We have to apply it. We have to live it. Then we can become happy. And we can make the world happy. So I'll stop there. We can have some discussion.
Hare Krishna.
Comment? Question?
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada mentions that there is a book called Aquarian Gospel,
Yeah.
where Christ has come to Jagannath temple.
Uh-huh.
And could you please explain?
Yeah. It's known that Jesus went to India. It's written in that book, that Aquarian Gospel. Even he went as far as Tibet. There's one Tibetan monastery. They have record of Jesus coming there when he was a young man. And these are the so-called lost years of Jesus. Nobody knows what happened to him from the time he was 20 till he was 30, so 10 years he was away. Anyway, the historical Jesus is relatively unknown. We do know that he did not die on the cross. In fact, when I was in Vancouver, I knew one Indian fellow who was from Pakistan. And he was saying every day as he would go back and forth to school, he would go by the tomb of Jesus. If you go up there, you will see. There's one website, tombofjesus.com. And there it explains where the tomb is. Actually, they've closed it off now. You can't see it anymore. But there's one Purana, Bhavishya Purana, which is still extant, in which it explains in there that the king is asking Jesus about his activities, and he's explaining that he went and he was preaching to the mlechas. In any case, not very much is known about historical Jesus. They write very little about him. They've hidden that information. But there's information about the other so-called Christians. And so there's one very big book. This Robert Eisenman, he wrote one book called James, Brother of Jesus. And so there he explains what James is, and by inference we can understand Jesus was also like that. But in any case, of course, Jesus, he was considered their acharya, and it was his purpose. The Vaishnavas of that place, they were convinced that their scripture had been changed, that their kind and loving God had been taken out of what is called the Torah, and that this mean, vindictive, bloodthirsty God called Jehovah was put there in his place. And so the job of Jesus was to cross out the false passages of the scripture, and again to reestablish the principles of religion. So that was what Jesus, one of his roles was to do. My book should be published within another year and a half. So I'll explain that, and I'll also explain the corollary of the appearance of the eternal religion as the Hare Krishna movement in the 20th century, and the parallels between these two.
Today in the class, when you mentioned that there are like 40 families who are controlling the whole world now, economic situation.
Federal plan.
About 300 actually.
Okay, so have you mentioned the same thing in your book too?
No, this book I don't go into that. This book here is an explanation of economic behavior according to gunas. So in Sattva Gun, people behave one way. In Rajagun, they behave a different way. And in Tamagun, a different way. So I explain the economic behavior in these different ways. And then I explain economics of atheism, which is modern economic system. And I explain the divine and demoniac nature. And I explain how the Rakshasas, how they have controlled, how are they controlling this world, what their nature is. And then in the last chapter I'm explaining, you can bring some copy here. In the last chapter I'm explaining how, so you can see, You see can you see the picture? This is modern economics.
Notes are burning.
So holding this money burning. So this book is the subtitle is Understanding and Solving the Economic Problem. So everybody, now we have so many economic problems. Everybody's scratching their head and wondering in Europe, oh, we're going to do the euro is going to crash. It's going to bring down the system. Blah 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 blah. It's not so difficult. The problem is this. People are living in Tamagun. You can't get the result of Sattvagun when you live in Tamagun. You're going to get the result of Tamagun. And the result of Tamagun is, it will all be finished. Very simple. So Prabhupada said that in 1956. 1956, Prabhupada wrote in Bhaktivedanta magazine, he said, this civilization will not last much more than 50 years. 1956, Srila Prabhupada wrote, this civilization will not last much more than 50 years.
So it's already...
Time's up.
Yes.
It's already done.
Okay? And if you look around, you can understand it's not going to last. So, there's only two ways it can go, right? It can go further to Tamagun and become completely destroyed, or else we have to lift it up to Sattvagun to sustain it. To fix it, to sustain it. So how are we going to do that? There's only one way. Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam, kalo nisteva, 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 gatiranyata. No other way. So, Harinam Sankirtan, must. We must do. If we stay in the city, we must do Harinam. Even if we go to the village, we should do Harinam. Did I answer your question? What else? Did it make you all depressed? No?
Yeah, maybe Prabhu, there may be some people who may be thinking, who are living in the city, that this may not be the right time to shift to the village, and because maybe we are brought up in the city, and what are we going to do in the village if we are not?
Okay, you don't have to go, but you help. Huh?
Yeah.
You read this, Prabhupada's Conceptions of Gita Nagari, and there Prabhupada says that the Gita Nagari functions mainly under the direction of two groups of devotees, the Shrutis and Srimatis. So, the Shrutis, they understand properly how to live according to Bhagavad Dharma, and the Srimatis, they are giving some money to make sure that it can function. because we are not naive, we cannot tomorrow just simply say, oh, money is Maya, we stop using money. It's not possible. We must have some money, and the best place for it to come from is from people who already have some money. Okay? So they can give money, and Prabhupada says that the Srimatis, they give the money, they will share in the result equally with the inhabitants of Gita Nagari. Because we have to work as a team. So we do our part. We just have to see, what can I do? We understand the goal. What is the objective? And we all take a part and help to make it become reality. Just like if we're going to do Rath Yatra or some function. We do some part. And that way, everybody cooperating together, we do our part, it becomes success. So, same thing. We need leadership. We need management. We need some finance. In this way, it works. So, we don't have to try to change the world. I give you an example of this Karma Cafe.
Yeah,
It just start something like that.
Very nice idea.
Because with this, then people say, why are you doing this? And then you can explain to them, oh, because this is how we're supposed to live. This is, if we live in this way, we'll avoid exploiting each other. You can explain the whole philosophy to them. If you go on the street to distribute books, I'm not interested in that. No, yeah, Krishna, I know about that. But you want to give somebody free food? Oh, very nice. Why are you doing this? Now they're open to hear. What is this philosophy that causes you to live like this? Because nobody else is doing that. So, there's a lot of different ways you can start. The idea is, Krishna is the owner of everything. We are His servant. So we act that way. And we find way to act like that. And it can be in any number of different ways. Everybody has some ability. So you find a way to give whatever you have. Okay? It doesn't have to be a full-time job. You know computers, you know how to fix automobile, you know how to, I don't know, whatever you know. Play piano, do music, dance, art, whatever, painting, whatever you know. You find a way to give that to somebody. And then explain to them why. There's another example of this. You should all, maybe together you watch this movie called Pay It Forward. How many have heard of this movie, Pay It Forward? This came out about 8-9 years ago, I guess.
What is that?
Pay It Forward.
Okay.
Here's the idea. It came out as a book first. In the book is about a civics teacher teaching young adolescents, 13, 14-year-old boys and girls, that you're coming into a world that's not very nice. It's not a very nice place. But this world is only what we make it to be. So what are you going to do to make the world a better place? So he gives them an assignment to see what you will do to make the world a better place. So one young man, he's thinking what to do. He has several ideas that are not successful. Then he gets on an idea. He says, okay, I'm going to go to 2 people, and I'm going to do something nice for them. And I'm going to ask them that you don't give anything back to me, don't pay me back, but you pay forward, that you do something nice for 2 other people, each of you. So I give to 2 people, they each give to 2 people, they each give to 2 people, like this. So geometric progression, So like this is the idea. So this is called pay it forward. Normally, we could say, pay me back. I give you something and then you pay me back. But their idea is, no, you pay it forward. So you watch this movie together sometime. I give you a copy. You watch together and you get some inspiration from this. Now these are not devotees coming up with these ideas. These are what we call karmis, fruitive workers, right? Devotees many times speak of such people in disparaging terms. But They're trying to understand that if we want to have a nice world, we have to live differently. And so they're trying like that. So there's another one that came out just recently called Economics of Happiness. I can give you that one. So you watch these movies and you see there's people thinking about how to make this world a better place. What they can do to make this world a better place. And you do the same thing. Huh? You do the same thing.
So we have got some copies of spiritual economics books. If anyone, I think
There's. You can open it up if you want to have a look inside.
I think total 7 copies here. So if any one of you interested, you can
Pass them around. Pass them around.
One copy is open here.
You can open others.
What is the price of it?
Well, my cost is 350 rupees. You can give any amount you want. No amount is too low, no amount is too high.
Just see it.
Devotees in Lithuania, in Latvia, they said to me, now that we read your book, now we can understand Bhagavad Gita.
You can.
And who was it? One of our GBCs, former GBCs in America, he said, this is the best book I've read since Prabhupada passed away.